Hey there guys, Fireman Official here and welcome to this Age of Empires 4 video. So today we're doing a 2-town center Song Dynasty build order for the Chinese civilization. It's super greedy, super boomy, but it can be really useful in a team game if you're in the pocket position perhaps. You can perhaps pull this off in a 1v1, but you're probably going to have to delay your second town center. Make sure you get some outposts to defend yourself. Also, it does depend on the map and the civilization you're up against. But in any case, this build order is a Song Dynasty 2-town center boom build order for the Chinese. Now, as usual with my build orders, I get the first unit from the town center to be the Imperial Official. Take that Imperial Official to the mill, which will be built by the starting villagers. You get your scout to gather sheep and take the sheep to the mill, and of course the villagers gather the food from the sheep. We take one villager to build a house, and the first two villagers from the town center will go to wood. Of course, we'll take our scout out and about to find as many sheep as possible. And yeah, that's it for the opening. It's quite a mouthful. So do have a look at the video again at the beginning of how we did things. But as a summary, essentially you want to aim for 6 on food, 2 on wood, and then we're going to send the next 2 villagers to food. So 6 on food, 2 to wood, and then the next 2 villagers to food. And of course, the first unit from the town center was the Imperial Official. We are going to deposit the food at the mill, and once we've got 20 gold tax collected in the mill, we're going to get the Imperial Official to bring that back to the town center. So guys, also just to make sure you are aware, I do have the PDF build orders available now, just to make things a bit easier for people, but it's usually better to watch the build in its entirety so you get a feel for what's important and at what timings. Now, depending on the map and the civilization you're up against, for instance, if you're up against the English on Dry Arabia, you could expect an English longbowman rush. In which case, actually, this build is not a bad opening because you'll have wood, you'll have some stone. So getting stone walls with a stone wall tower is entirely possible in delaying your second town center. And also, you could go for an outpost or two and upgrade them with the hand cannon slits technology in the feudal age. So certainly, it's adaptable, this build, to make sure that you survive any early kind of rush attack against you. Now, once we've got 8 villagers on food and 2 to wood, we're going to send the next 2 villagers to gold. We're going to start picking up the tax from the mill using the Imperial Official, of course. It's a little bit fiddly, but you get used to it. And then once we've got 2 villagers to gold, we're going to send the next 2 villagers to wood. Again, we keep our scout active. Try and see what your opponent is doing. Are they going for a particularly fast uptime? Should you be worried about a feudal age rush? If you are, then, as I said, you might want to drop out some outposts and some stonewall towers. Think about where you're going to put your Barbican of the Sun. Usually I put it where the food is. In fact, I always put it where the food is with this build order, because in order to build a Barbican of the Sun, we're actually going to take 2 villagers from food to do it. So we're just about to do that now. We've got enough food, we've got enough gold, and we're looking good to go to the feudal age. Now, from here, the next 5 villagers will go to stone. So we have got 6 on food, 4 on wood, 2 on gold at this moment, and we're going to send the next 5 villagers to stone. So we can see here I did have 2 forward stone piles. I opted to go for one that's actually a bit further away, kind of at the back. It's a bit more risky, but it's perhaps a little less likely to be discovered. So we are going to be a little bit late to that second town center in this particular demonstration of the build. But if you're actually going to have a stone pile which is a lot closer, then certainly you'll get that second town center a lot quicker. We will need to also build a house using a villager that's going to stone, and this is a decent time to be relaxed and scouting well, to pick up some remaining sheep that might be around the map. Okay, so looking good, and obviously this build order is going to really make use of the Song Dynasty, and that can be super powerful, getting your economy boosted very quickly. And once the villagers have built the Barbican of the Sun, though, those 2 villagers, they will go back to food. We're almost there with the stone villagers. We're almost at 5. We're just going to collect some more tax from the mill. It's a little bit fiddly, but we'll get there in the end. And yeah, once we do have 5 villagers on stone, we're going to send the rest of the villagers from the town center to be waypointed to go to wood. So it's at this point 5 minutes. Your opponent might be getting up to the next stage as well. Keep an eye out with your scout to see if they're coming in with a heavy feudal rush. If so, then now is probably the time to start building your outposts. As you can see though, the Barbican of the Sun is giving us a lot of protection for the food villagers, but just think about where your stone is and your wood. You want to protect those two resources as well. Okay, so we've started to send new villagers to go to wood because we've got 5 on stone, and very soon we're going to be able to afford the second town centre. It's also now that you'll also be able to afford the second landmark for the feudal age and get up to the Song Dynasty. So we've actually got enough now, so we're going to take some villagers off food there to build that next landmark. Okay, so far so good. And yeah, we've got actually enough wood now for a town centre. And so we're actually going to drop an archery range as well, because we will want to get some military. And now being on the Song Dynasty, it lends yourself really well to be able to go for the Zhuge Nu unit. And that's actually probably what we're going to do. Once we've dropped the second town centre, we're going to start training the Zhuge Nu. We're not going to train anything just yet because we need that wood for the next town centre. And I'm going to usually place it around a wood source or a food source. And yeah, we're going to go for berries this time because that's what's nearby. I'm going to force drop a little bit of wood there to be able to afford it. Of course, 400 wood, 300 stone for the second town centre. And once you do have your second town centre up, you want to make sure that one town centre is waypointed to wood and the other town centre is waypointed to food. You'll of course want to build a house as well. You don't want to get housed. And we're almost into the next dynasty, which will be very, very effective now that we've got 2 town centres. We keep our economy rolling and keep your scout active. We want to see if we're being attacked. But here we are, 7 minutes, 2 town centres, Song Dynasty. We are ready to go with the villagers, and we're going to start producing Zhuge Nu straight out of the bat. Now, bear in mind that Zhuge Nu actually do cost gold, which regular archers don't. So bear that in mind. You will need to actually start taking some villagers to gold. And you can also always think about using your Imperial Official to supervise the archery range to produce Zhuge Nu at basically 3 times the speed, which is incredible. So if you're under a lot of pressure here, you will actually have the eco as long as the villages are protected with outposts. Now, talking about numbers, we will need 11 villagers on food to maintain 2 town centre production whilst we're in the Song Dynasty. Usually it's 8 villagers on food for 2 town centres, but the Song Dynasty means that our villagers are produced 35% faster. So we need 11 villagers on food to maintain that. If we're going to go for an archery range and the Zhuge Nu unit, well, why not? Because it is the Song Dynasty's and Chinese unique unit. We're just going to take this example for now. Of course, if you're going for a different unit, for instance horsemen, the calculation will be different. But in any case, with 1 archery range production worth of Zhuge Nu, you'll need 2 villagers on food, 3 villagers on wood, 3 villagers on gold. Now, if you do supervise the archery range with the Imperial Official, you'll essentially need triple that. So 6 villagers on food, 9 villagers on wood, and 9 villagers on gold. So we can summarize that all together. Now, if your strategy is that you want to go for the 2 town centre Song Dynasty into 1 range in total, think about your eco balance. You will need a minimum of 13 on food, 3 on wood, and 3 on gold, which is not too hard. We've actually already got that, as you can see now on the bottom left. But if you're going for 2 town centres Song Dynasty, supervised range with the Imperial Official, you'll need 17 on food, 9 on wood, and 9 on gold. So we're almost there really. We've pulled villagers from wood to go to gold, but that's what your eco balance should be looking at if you want the Song Dynasty and the supervised range with 2 town centres. It also doesn't end there, because of course you will probably want to get a blacksmith and the upgrades including steeled arrow and iron undermesh, or whichever unit you go for, just pick the relevant upgrades that you will want. Now, these upgrades will of course cost gold, so looking at the graphic, you probably want to add in 2 extra villagers on gold just to be able to slowly afford the blacksmith upgrades. It's also really important to consider that in Age of Empires 4, you'd kind of need an army composition rather than spamming just 1 unit. So really, actually, slowly you might want to add a barracks for spearmen, or maybe even a stable for horsemen. But just consider that in your back of your mind, what's the best army composition for what you're facing. If you're doing lots of damage in feudal age now, you may want to even consider getting siege engineering for rams and go for a ram push. Either way guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, do give it a thumbs up as it really helps the channel. And if you'd like to see more build orders or just Age of Empires 4 content in general, do hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Either way guys, if you click the right end card screen now, that will take you to the full playlist of all my build orders. Take care guys, and see you next time.